Welcome to Music in Your Mind, the show that discusses how music impacts us. I'm Kate Ganchard, and today we're talking about a few different things. We will discuss the benefits of listening to music, as well as discussing the benefits of musical training with Kaylin Frisora. Later on in the show, we will also have a special guest discussing musical therapy, so make sure you stay till the end. During my research, I have looked at how music affects people. Music seems to have more benefits than disadvantages. Personally, I grew up listening to music all of the time. I always use music to cheer me up or to motivate me to do something I really do not feel like doing, like going to the gym or doing my homework. According to Audio Melody, one of the best aspects of music is that it can give the mood a good boost. In daily life, everyone usually gets trampled in some situations that seem to be against them. To overcome that, and to keep your mood on the mellow side, music can sometimes be the best option. Listening to inspiring music brings happiness to a person. Let's welcome our first guest, Grace Calandrella, to Music in Your Mind. She is here to discuss how music has affected her personally. Thank you for joining us, Grace. For me, music always can put me in a better mood. This really helps me, especially when I have no motivation to get things done. Would you agree that music affects us positively, and why?
Yes, I would agree that music affects everyone positively. Everyone has a different type of music that they listen to, whether it's pop, rap, or country. But I think it helps everyone with motivation and just getting out of the slumps, like in the morning or anything. I listen to the music at the gym, in the car, or even just doing homework, and it really just helps me get through my day.
Can you give me an example of a time where music was a necessity for you?
Yeah, sure. Last night at the gym, I listened to music when I was running and working out in general. And also over the summer, I had a long trip down to Virginia for a softball tournament, and I listened to music all the way down, which made the ride a lot better.
Thanks for joining us, Grace. I also found that music can be used as a therapy. As stated by the American Music Therapy Association, music therapy is an established health profession in which music is used within a therapeutic relationship to address physical, emotional, cognitive, and social needs of individuals. Through musical therapy, patients can actually strengthen themselves. They do so by singing, listening, creating, and moving to music. I found this very interesting that music can actually help with the treatment of someone that has physical difficulties, brain injuries, Alzheimer's, and can even help with the treatment of cancer. During this next segment, we will be talking about musical training with guest Kaylin Frisora. Researchers have also found that playing an instrument, also known as musical training, can increase your IQ. As stated by Audio Melody, coordination between the body and the mind is practiced when playing an instrument. When you are playing an instrument, you are using your brain all of the time. When I was younger, I played the saxophone for a couple years, and it taught me how to practice things over and over until it gets right. Let's welcome our second guest, Kaylin Frisora, to Music in Your Mind. Kaylin was recently admitted to the Berklee College of Music in Boston. Thank you for joining us, Kaylin. So I know you've been playing an instrument for a very long time. Can you tell us what instrument that is and why you chose it?
So, I'm a trumpet player, and I chose this instrument back in fourth grade about 8 years ago. The reason I chose it was because my grandfather was also a trumpet player. He was actually a professional musician, which means he did make a living out of being a trumpet player. And that has really inspired me my entire life, and I plan to do the same thing.
How do you feel you've benefited from playing this instrument?
For me, the trumpet has offered me so many things and benefited me in countless ways that nothing else really could. It really offers me a creative outlet, or what I like to call an escape from reality. So whenever I'm having a hard day, I go home and I practice the trumpet because it takes my mind off everything, which is really a great thing to have for me emotionally, or anyone who plays an instrument. Secondly, playing an instrument brings people together. So being in the high school band, I play the trumpet with the band, and it's something I will never forget. It's such a significant part of my life. I've met so many people, made so many connections that I will cherish for the rest of my life. So making music with people is really a beautiful thing. Lastly, I get to study my instrument in college and study music in college, and I think that, I'm so lucky to be able to do that because not everyone gets to do what they love for a living, and the fact that music offers that and playing an instrument offers that is something I'm forever grateful for.
Thank you again, Kaylin, for joining us. I'm glad that music has benefited you in so many ways and has even provided you a career path. While researching, I also looked how music can help patients with dementia. As stated in Musicophilia, the aim of music therapy in people with dementia is far broader than this. It seeks to adjust the emotions, cognitive powers, thoughts, and memories, the surviving self of the patient, to simulate these and bring them to the fore. It aims to enrich and enlarge existence, to give freedom, stability, organization, and focus. With that said, the part of the brain that holds on to musical memories is not affected by dementia. Therefore, patients with dementia are able to hold on to songs from a long time ago. Workers in senior homes often use music to lighten the mood and bring patients back to their fuller selves. My granddad is actually in the memory care unit of his senior home because he has dementia. And when we're visiting him, we play music for him, or there's usually people playing music there already from when they were younger. You can see him light up, and he sings all of the songs and knows all of the lyrics, and you can really tell that it lightens the mood, and he's not miserable anymore. Let's welcome our third and final guest to Music in Your Mind. Unfortunately, due to the quarantine circumstances, I was unable to interview someone from my granddad's memory care unit. So here to talk about music and dementia is my dad, Paul Ganchert. Thank you for joining us. So to start off, do you mind talking a little bit about what type of people this senior home brings in for the people that live there?
So, Brightview, and in particular the Wellspring Village in Brightview, where my dad is, they bring in, I think, two different entertainers that sing and play music. One of them is this gentleman who brings in a keyboard, and so he's able to play along with the music on the keyboard and sing songs of sort of my dad's era, right? And so he was born in 1926, so he'll probably be singing songs between the 40s through the 60s. And these are sort of songs that all the residents in that age range would recognize. And he's a bit of a comedian as well. He's has little, his routine involves a lot of joking around with the residents and trying to sort of keep them involved, not only by singing, but sort of engaging in that manner as well. And then there is a woman that comes in, I think she's in weekly as well, and she plays music and has the residents singing along, or she tries to get the residents to sing along. And so those are the two main forms. They also have performances upstairs in the assisted living facility that occasionally they'll bring the sort of the memory care folks up to view, and those can be larger sets of bands. I know there's like a barbershop quartet that plays up there, and there's generally sort of more instruments or larger musical setups for the people in the assisted living, and occasionally they'll bring some of the residents from Wellspring Village up to see those performances as well. And I think that's pretty much mostly, and they also will play music during the day, outside of actually bringing some people in. In the entertainment room, they'll also play music at various times of the day as sort of background music for whatever activity they might be doing. Like they'll have, exercise routines and music playing then. So there's certainly quite a bit of music that's played, and I think it's helpful for the residents.
How are these people living in the senior home benefiting from these entertainers being brought in?
So, how does the music benefit? Or the entertainers? How do the entertainers benefit the residents? So, at least for my father, he's he's definitely like end stage dementia, right? And so his day is filled with a lot of confusion, right? He doesn't recognize a lot of things. He doesn't generally know where he is or why he's in a particular room. He doesn't have any short-term memory to speak of. And so there's a lot of periods of my father's day where he's confused, and you can tell because he's agitated, right? And he sort of mutters these particular phrases over and over again, and you can tell that he's anxious, so the confusion causes anxiety. But the entertainers are something so that he can focus on, right? And the music that they play is stuff that he recognizes, right? And so he's not confused in that moment. He recognizes the songs, he can sing the songs, and so I think it sort of is a distraction from what otherwise is a lot of confusion for him and anxiety. And it's not just him; it's the rest of the residents. A lot of these people that you see, like when they're eating lunch or dinner, they're very quiet, right? The place, you could hear a pin drop in the place, other than the sound of knives and forks. But when the entertainers are there, you can see the residents participating. A lot of them will sing. Some of them will move in their chair, and so I think they enjoy it a great deal. It breaks up their day a lot. Because this is something that they can still recognize.
How would you say music plays a role in your dad's life?
I think music does play a role in my father's life. When I was younger, he was someone that was always singing, whistling, when he was home. As he went about his day, whether he was working on the house or doing yard work, whatever, he was someone that was always whistling and singing. And I think now, there's not a whole lot in my father's life that is, it sort of brings him joy. A lot of his day is filled with a certain amount of anxiety and confusion. And then if he's not anxious or confused, and there's no entertainment going on, it tends to kind of stare off into space. And so there's not a lot of interaction that occurs with him. Most of the other residents are similar to him, right? So there's not a lot of conversation or anything like that, sort of to pass the time. But with the music and the entertainment they bring in, this is something that he can participate in. I think it brings back memories for him. I think it sort of gets his brain working, more than just staring off, sitting in a chair, being quiet. So I think it's very helpful, and not only the music, but the other forms of stuff that they do, like the exercise routines, anything that can sort of break up the monotony of the day, I think is beneficial. So I think it plays a pretty big role at this point in his life.
Thank you again for joining us today. That's all I have for today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something. Make sure to check out my website if you haven't already, where I share more information about the effects of music. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.